All right, guys, so step one in digital badging and creating your own is to create your course. Um, for this step, you have to determine what it is that you want your students or your learners, your users of this course to learn and what you want them to demonstrate mastery on. So, this is the Apple book that our curriculum coordinator created, and it is the one that I am using for reference throughout this entire project. Um, and it correlates with a workbook that is in Numbers. So you can see here the steps of hosting a course. You could do it on Google Classroom. You could create documents in Pages or Numbers. You could use Apple Schoolwork. Um, and then you can also use third-party platforms like Apple Teacher and Flipgrid certified educator programs. These can also, it says down here in this note that these badges can also be awarded for attending workshops and coaching sessions that aren't actual courses. But for this project, we are actually going to walk through the first step of creating the digital badge, which is to come up with a course. So in the workbook, our coordinator has created this workbook here. And so you read chapter 1, you brainstorm ideas for what you want to cover, and then you fill out this worksheet. So what topic will your badge represent? My topic is going to be figurative language for 5th grade. What skills will they need to be able to demonstrate? Students will need to be able to identify different types of figurative language. They will also need to be able to use different types of figurative language, and students will need to be able to explain the meaning of examples of figurative language. So then the third step is to map out below in the chart the assignments that they'll need to complete. So for example, the first one is my students may complete students will complete a sort of the different types of figlang and their definitions and examples. What will they learn? They will learn the definitions of types of figurative language, as well as see them used in examples. And how will they demonstrate mastery? Well, they won't really be able to go on to very many other assignments if they don't understand this well. So I'm going to put they score a 90%, 90% or higher within 2 attempts. So then I would continue going with the rest of the assignments that I want my students to complete. I may then next have them create a Google Slides presentation using 5 different types of figlang, must include definition, examples, and meanings. So then this is teaching them to not only understand the definitions of the figurative language and use them and see them how they're used in examples, but actually to create their own uses of figurative language. And then how will they demonstrate mastery? They would, I would say, score and we'll do 80% or higher on assignment, and they would have a rubric for this assignment, telling them how many points they could earn, and so on and so forth. I could continue adding more assignments if I wanted them to be more, if I wanted them to be less. But what I need to remember is that the goal is for my students to show mastery, which is this piece up here. I want them to be able to identify different types, use the different types, and be able to explain the meaning of those different types. So whatever my assignments are going to be, they have to mimic, they have to mirror the goals that I want them to demonstrate mastery on. And up here is the standard I'm covering. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative language, such as metaphors, similes, and idioms. So the way that we always work with this is we start with these three, but we always add in a few more because we're typically working with, especially me, I'm typically working with gifted kids. So I want to increase the different types of figurative language that they may see and use. So this is pretty much it for step one. It can become more in depth, but for each badge that you create represents a different course. So it would be important that you would go through this step for each different standard you wanted to cover, or each unit that may cover multiple standards. And in that case, if you were covering multiple standards, then your assignment one may have 2 or 3 different choices. Maybe assignment one is going to be a specific standard, and they have 2 choices of what they can do for assignment one in order to show mastery of that standard. And then assignment 2 would be a different standard, all covering the same unit. So that's another possibility. So as you can see on this page of the book, the Apple book, is it gives the course name, the delivery method in which you're using, and then a brief description. So you would want to be able to provide that for each of your courses for your students or for your staff as well. Please keep in mind that all of the examples that I'm showing you have been created as professional development for our staff at Rolling Hills. And what I've just created would be an example of using a badging system within my classroom. So again, there's many different ways of doing this, and the steps that I am following are coming from our professional development badge that has been created by our curriculum director at Rolling Hills. I hope that this has been a good introduction to your first step of digital badging.